Okay, so you want to know how to beat depression, huh?
Sounds like it.
Well, you've got some really interesting stuff here. 10 different strategies, actually.
10, wow.
Yeah, and honestly, some of this stuff is news to Emmy, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we got to remember, this isn't some magic bullet.
Right.
More like different tools for your toolbox.
Yeah, I thought that.
So let's crack this toolbox open. First up is start small.
Okay.
It sounds a little, well, underwhelming maybe.
No.
But this is where this whole snowball effect thing comes in. I'm curious about that. What's the science behind it?
Well, think about it this way. When you're depressed, everything feels huge, right?
Right.
Even little things feel like climbing a mountain. The snowball effect is basically like saying, forget the mountain, just kick a pebble.
I love that.
Yeah.
But how do you actually ease that?
You got to break those big things down, those mountains, into those manageable pebbles. So instead of cleaning the whole house, it's just do the dishes. And here's the trick. Celebrate those little wins.
Oh, interesting.
Might feel a little silly, but it matters. Your brain needs those wins. Each win adds another layer to that snowball, and you get momentum.
So making your bed could be a snowball moment.
It absolutely could.
And that momentum helps you tackle bigger stuff down the line.
Exactly. It's kind of like you make the bed, get a little energy boost, then maybe you do those dishes, another boost.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're doing laundry, maybe even going for a walk, things you wouldn't have even thought about before.
You know, that's so true. Some days even opening the curtains feels like a huge win.
But okay, let's talk about move your body. I'm all for exercise, but sometimes when you're down, that's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, I get that. But we're not talking about marathons here. It's about how moving actually changes your brain.
Okay, how so? It's more than just those good endorphins, right?
Endorphins are part of it, sure, but it's bigger than that. When you move, your body makes all these feel-good chemicals. Like what?
Dopamine, serotonin, it's like natural antidepressants. There's this study from Harvard that found that even moderate exercise, like a good brisk walk a few times a week, can really help with depression symptoms.
Hold on, so we're not talking about hours at the gym.
Nope, not at all.
A walk around the block works?
Exactly. Even dancing to some music, a little stretching, it all helps.
Oh, okay.
And it's not just the chemicals. Exercise helps you sleep better, gives you energy, and you get that sense of accomplishment, you know?
Yeah.
All those things impact your mood big time.
All right, you've convinced me. I'm putting on my walking shoes as we speak. But we've moved our bodies. What about our minds? This next one, talk to someone, feels a little harder, doesn't it? Depression makes you want to isolate like you're the only one.
You're absolutely right. Depression loves isolation. It tells you lies, that you're a burden, nobody cares, you're better off alone. It's all lies.
I've been there. It's like you push away the people who want to help.
That's exactly what depression wants. But reaching out, even when it's tough, is huge.
Okay.
Talking to someone, it breaks that isolation, reminds you you're not alone in this.
So even just texting a friend like, hey, having a rough day, that helps.
Yeah, totally. Just open that line.
Doesn't have to be some big emotional thing.
Nope. And if you feel like you need more, therapy can really make a difference.
The article mentions therapy a lot. What's so good about it, specifically for depression?
Therapy gives you a safe space. You can talk about your feelings, figure out how to cope.
I see.
A therapist helps you unpack all those negative thoughts that are feeding the depression.
Okay.
And they teach you how to fight back against them.
So it's like having a coach in your corner, someone who gets the science of depression and helps you build a game plan.
Exactly. And remember, going to therapy, it's not weak. It's actually really strong. You'd see a doctor if you broke your leg.
Right. Yeah.
Your mind deserves the same care.
Couldn't agree more. All right, next is fix your sleep. This one seems kind of obvious, but the article really digs into how sleep and depression are connected. So how does not sleeping enough actually mess with your head?
Imagine your brain's running a marathon, but with no fuel.
Oh, wow.
That's what it's like when you're not sleeping. Sleep, it's how your brain regulates mood, processes emotions, even thinks clearly.
Yeah.
Not enough sleep, and your brain is running on empty.
So it's harder to manage emotions, concentrate, even find the energy to do anything.
Exactly. And studies, they show a massive link between bad sleep and depression.
Okay, so sleep is key, but how do you sleep better? The article had some tips.
The biggest one, have a sleep schedule, go to bed, and wake up around the same time every day.
Oh, that's tough. Especially when you're down. It's so tempting to stay in bed all day.
I know, but trust me, consistency is key. It helps your body get in sync with its natural sleep-wake cycle.
Okay.
Another big one, no screens for at least an hour before bed.
Ah, the blue light thing. We hear about it, but why is it so bad for sleep?
It's all about melatonin, the hormone that controls your sleep cycle. Blue light from phones and stuff, it blocks melatonin.
So even if you're tired, your brain's getting mixed messages like stay awake from your phone.
Exactly. So dimming lights, putting those devices away, reading a book, taking a bath, those things signal to your body it's wind down time.
Makes sense. So consistent sleep schedule, ditch the screens. What else?
Have a relaxing routine before bed,
Mm-hmm.
a cup of tea, reading a little, some stretching, anything to de-stress.
So your body and mind both know it's time to shift gears, get ready for sleep.
You got it. And don't forget, white noise or calming music, it can really help quiet those racing thoughts.
Nice. Consistent sleep schedule, ditch the screens, have a routine, maybe try white noise. I'm feeling calmer just talking about it. But we've got time for one more strategy before we move on, and it's a big one. Challenge negative thoughts.
Right, this is where it gets more mental. Because depression isn't just feeling sad and how it twists your thinking. It's like your brain's a factory making negative thoughts.
And those thoughts feel so real, even when they make no sense.
Exactly. It's like looking at the world through dark glasses.
Yeah.
But the good news is we can fight back, learn to question those thoughts,
Okay.
see them for what they are, and replace them with something more balanced, more realistic.
So how do we do that? The article talks about this thing called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT.
Yeah, CBT is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about recognizing and changing those negative thoughts. It's based on the idea that your thoughts, your feelings, and what you do, they're all connected.
Oh, I see.
So if you change how you think, you can change how you feel and what you actually do.
Makes sense.
One of the main tools in CBT is something called cognitive restructuring.
Sounds intense. How does that work?
You got to learn to spot those automatic negative thoughts that pop up, then ask yourself some questions.
Like, is this even true? Or what proof do I have?
Yeah. Or would I say this to a friend? Is there a kinder way to look at this? The article gives a great example. Changing "I'm a failure" to "I had a tough day" doesn't mean I am a failure.
Right.
It's about remembering setbacks, mistakes. They're normal. They don't mean you're worthless or you can't succeed.
So not ignoring the bad thoughts, but taking away their power.
Exactly. It's about seeing them as just thoughts, not facts.
Yeah.
And you can retrain your brain to think more positively.
Wow. This is fascinating. We've covered a lot of ground, maybe a good place to pause. We'll dive into the rest of these strategies next time.
So we were talking about challenging those negative thoughts, but now let's switch gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about food.
Food.
Yeah, and how it affects how you feel.
I gotta admit, I was always skeptical about that whole, food is medicine thing.
I hear ya.
But the more I learn, the more I realize how connected they really are.
It's pretty amazing, right? Your brain, it needs specific nutrients to work right. And if it's not getting them, well, it can mess things up.
Yeah.
Your mood, your energy, even how you think. It's all linked.
The article talks about this brain-gut connection. Sounds kind of out there. What's the science behind that?
Okay, so imagine your gut is this huge city full of bacteria, trillions of them. This is your gut microbiome, and it's crucial for your overall health,
Oh, wow.
including your mental health.
Okay.
More and more research is showing that this microbiome, it actually talks to your brain.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like they're having a conversation, influencing your mood, your behavior, how well you think.
So it's not just what we eat for ourselves, but for all those little guys in our gut, too.
Exactly. And if that ecosystem gets out of balance, it can actually make depression worse.
Oh, that's interesting. So how does that happen?
Well, when your gut's off, it can trigger inflammation, and not just in your stomach, but everywhere, including your brain. And inflammation is linked to all kinds of problems, including depression.
Okay, so what we eat really matters. What are some good brain foods? According to the article, I need a shopping list.
Omega-3 fatty acids are a great place to start. They're super important for a healthy brain. Some studies even show they have antidepressant effects.
Okay.
You can find them in fatty fish, like salmon, mackerels, sardines, also walnuts, flax seeds.
I do love salmon. Anything else?
Leafy greens, definitely. Packed with folate, that's a B vitamin that's key for good mood.
Okay.
Spinach, kale, collard greens. The darker green, the better.
Got it, greens. What else should I add to my cart for a happy brain?
All right, get ready for this. Dark chocolate.
Seriously?
Seriously. It has flavonoids, they're antioxidants, good for protecting your brain, A&D, boosting your mood.
All right.
Just make sure it's dark chocolate, at least 70% cocoa.
Okay, so dark chocolate IS, a health food. That's a prescription I can get behind. The article also mentions hydration.
Oh yeah, super important.
Really makes a difference for your mood.
Oh, absolutely. Even being a little dehydrated can tank your energy and mood. Make sure you're drinking water throughout the day. It's like a nice little brain boost.
So we're nourishing our bodies, but what about nourishing our souls? The next one is find something that sparks joy.
Yeah, I love that one.
It reminds us that depression doesn't have to take away all the good stuff.
Exactly. It's so easy to get caught in that darkness and everything feels gray and pointless. But that's just the depression talking.
Yeah.
Joy is still out there. We just got to rediscover it.
The article says to think back to stuff we loved as kids. Why is that?
As we grow up, we get busy, responsibilities pile up, and we forget those things that made us light up.
Right.
We forget to play, to be curious, to just be silly. Going back to those childhood passions can help us reconnect with joy.
It's like remembering who we were before life got so serious. I love that.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be some big thing.
Okay.
Maybe you dust off your old paints, pick up that guitar, or reread your favorite childhood books.
Or build Legos with your kids, ride a bike on a sunny day.
Yes. Just get out there and feel the wind. Joy can be found in everyday moments. We just got to be open to it.
I like that.
And, you know, it's okay if it feels forced at first. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it.
So even if you're not feeling it, you can still DO the things that used to make you happy.
Precisely. Think of it like jump-starting a car. It might take a little effort, but eventually the engine roars back to life. And as you do those things more, you might find that joy starts coming back naturally.
It's like waking up a part of yourself that's been asleep. I love that analogy.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Speaking of reawakening, next up is gratitude.
Okay, full disclosure, I used to think gratitude was kind of cheesy, but I'm hearing more about it and, well, maybe I was wrong. What's the science behind it?
It's amazing, really. When you're depressed, your brain, it focuses on the negative, all the bad stuff. Gratitude helps us shift that, to see the good, even when things are tough.
It's like swapping out a bad lens for a good one.
Exactly. And the article suggests something really simple. Each day, write down one thing you're grateful for. It could be anything, big or small.
So even just like a cup of coffee on a cold morning.
Absolutely. The point is to make it a habit, train your brain to look for the good stuff.
And that actually makes your brain more positive over time.
It does. It's like building a gratitude muscle. People who do this regularly, they report feeling happier, having stronger relationships, even better physical health.
Wow, so it's not just a fleeting good feeling, it actually changes your life.
It can, yeah. And gratitude, it can also help fight envy and resentment.
Which is especially tough these days with social media, which brings us to reduce social media and screen time. This one feels so relevant now, right? We're always connected, always bombarded with stuff.
It's true. Social media, it's a double-edged sword. It can connect us, but it can also make us compare ourselves to others, feel envious, feel not good enough.
Yeah.
All of that can feed depression.
It's like we're always looking at everyone else's highlight reel, forgetting that everyone has struggles.
Exactly. That's why it's crucial to be mindful of how much social media you're taking in. Make sure it's not hurting you.
Right.
The article suggests taking breaks, setting limits, and really prioritizing those real-life connections.
So instead of scrolling before bed, maybe read a book, talk to someone you love, spend time in nature, disconnect to reconnect.
I love that. It's about choosing to do things that make you feel good, not drained.
So it's not about quitting social media completely, but finding that balance.
Right. Using it as a tool, not letting it use you.
Makes sense. We've talked about nourishing our bodies, finding joy, gratitude, being mindful of screen time. But there's one last strategy, and it's a big one. Seek professional help.
Absolutely. And remember, depression is a medical condition, not a character flaw. Asking for help is not weak, it's actually incredibly brave and self-aware.
The article talks about therapy, medication, support groups. Can you break those down?
Sure. Therapy, like we said earlier, it's a safe place to talk, figure out coping mechanisms, and challenge those negative thoughts. There are tons of different types of therapies, so finding one that fits you is key. Medication can be really helpful for some people, but it's not for everyone. Antidepressants work by balancing those mood chemicals in the brain.
So it's a personal decision, best made with a doctor.
Absolutely. You need to talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you, understand the pros and cons.
What about support groups? What's good about those?
Support groups, they give you a feeling of community, of shared understanding.
Oh, yeah.
Connect with people going through the same things, share coping strategies, encourage each other. Knowing you're not alone can be incredibly powerful.
It's like that saying, shared joy is doubled, shared sorrow is halved.
Beautifully put. And remember, reading out in any way, it's not giving up, it's a sign of hope. It means you believe you deserve to feel better and you're ready to fight for it.
This has been so insightful. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. You've given us a lot to think about. So we've covered these 10 strategies, and I think the big takeaway is this isn't about finding a quick fix.
Yeah, it's not like flipping a switch.
It's more like we're figuring out the route on a really long journey, and there's going to be bumps in the road.
That's a great way to put it. Healing from depression, it's a process, and it's rarely straightforward.
Right.
Some days you'll feel amazing, like you're on top of the world. Other days you might feel like you've gone backwards.
Yeah.
It's all part of it.
It's like they say, recovery isn't a straight line, it's more like a spiral.
I like that.
You might face the same challenges again and again, but hopefully each time you learn something, you get a little stronger.
Absolutely. And be patient with yourself.
Yeah, that's so important.
Celebrate those little wins, no matter how small. And remember, a setback, it's not a failure, it's a chance to learn and try something different.
And speaking of trying different things, what works for one person might not work for another, right?
Yeah.
These 10 strategies, they're like a starting point, a menu to choose from.
Exactly. You have to find what works for you, what you can actually stick with, what fits into your life.
Right.
It takes some experimenting, some figuring things out.
So it's not about following some strict rules, it's about finding your way to heal.
Yeah, what works for you, what feels right. And just as important, don't forget, you don't have to do this alone.
Right.
Having support, whether it's a friend, family, a therapist, a support group, it makes a huge difference.
You know, we talked a lot about the mental side of healing, thoughts, self-care, getting support. But what about the stuff around us, our environment? Does that matter too?
Oh, absolutely. The environment, your relationships, your job, even your physical space, all of that affects your mental health.
So it's not just about changing ourselves, but maybe changing our surroundings too.
Exactly. Maybe you need to set boundaries with people who aren't good for you, declutter your home, spend time in nature, find work you actually care about.
So it's about taking a holistic approach, looking at everything that affects your well-being.
I love that holistic approach. It takes ongoing work, but it's a journey worth taking.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question. Out of these 10 strategies, which one feels doable for you right now? And what's one tiny step, even a super small one, you can take towards it today?
Maybe it's making your bed, a quick walk, texting a friend, writing down something you're grateful for. Those little things, they can start a ripple effect.
As you go on this journey, be patient with yourself, celebrate your wins, and never give up hope. We're rooting for you. You got this.
You absolutely do.